That was dominant. That was easy. That was comfortable. And that's what you expect. That is truly what you expect when you see Inter against Slavia Prague. You automatically turn around and tell yourself, this should be smooth sailing. This should be a comfortable 3 points. And that's exactly what it is. Inter put themselves third in the Champions League groups. And you know what it is? The one thing I've learned about this new Champions League format is maybe, just maybe, it makes the most sense to win your first few games because you do not want to be playing catch up. This new Champions League format, like, don't get me wrong, it's entertaining, but wow, can it be ruthless. You don't want to be playing catch up game week 6, game week 7, game week 8. And I feel like Kivu's maybe sat down and assessed Inter's 8 games. And he's told himself, I need to go into game week 5 with 12 out of 12 points. Who do Inter have next? USG and Kyra, they just lost about 5-1 to Real Madrid. If Inter can go into game week 5, 12 out of 12 points, I feel like that guarantees them at minimum a place in the playoffs. And if they do go and get, I don't know, like a win against the Liverpool, a win against an Arsenal, maybe it does push them into the top 8. Touching on the game, it was dominant, it was performance, like it was dominant, it was penetrative, it was aggressive. Like they were so aggressive off the ball. Where I respect Kivu, and listen, I've put my hand up many times before and said to you guys, I thought this was a very questionable appointment. I thought this was a very risky appointment. It might turn out to be. But at the moment, I actually respect him for what he's doing, which is, they started off the season amazingly well. 5-0 hammering of Torino, and I promise you guys it could have been 10. I genuinely promise you guys it could have been 10. Then Udinese comes. Banana skin. Big slip up. Then Derby d'Italia comes. Slip up. You look at the mentality, you look at the hunger, you look at the grit. Like, how can they let go of a 3-2 lead with just 15 minutes to go? Where I respect Kivu is many coaches panic in that situation. They're like, all right, cool. The high press isn't working because I've got like a relatively aging back line. They can't play on the halfway line. It's too risky. They don't have the physicality. Maybe, just maybe, drop that defensive line 10, 20 yards just to help 37-year-old HAJJBALL. Just to help somebody like De Vrij. Nah, he was like, no problem. I lost to Udinese, no problem. I lost to Milan, no problem. I'm going to work on these players. I'm going to instill that hunger, that motivation, that grit back into them. But I'm still sticking by my principles. I'm sticking by my principles. You don't get a performance like this without sticking to your principles. Because today, well, like what are his principles? Let's just touch on them real briefly. He wants to play vertical. He wants to play on the front foot. He wants to take the game to the opposition. He wants to suffocate the opposition. He wants to press high. Yeah, you look at the first goal. Inter, they pressed high. Lautaro Martinez, very similar to the goal that he scored against, I believe it was Torino. He scored a goal identical to this against Torino. Lautaro Martinez, pressing high, applying pressure to the goalkeeper. 1-0 Inter. Then you look at the second goal. Mainly the third goal. Like the second goal and the third goal, in my opinion, are genuinely replicas of one another. But it's just, you look at this team and you could see with Kivu, we don't sit back and invite pressure once we go 1-2-0 up. Very similar to what Inzaghi used to do. And don't get me wrong, it worked for Inzaghi. It got him to 2 Champions League finals. It won him a Scudetto. But I feel like sometimes applying that handbrake, it can hold back your players in some departments. I'm looking at Inter. They're just ruthless. It could be 1-1. We're sticking by the principles. We could be 2-0 down. We're sticking by the principles. We could be 2-0 up. We're sticking by the principles. Hence, we win 5-0. When you look at the second goal, lovely team goal, Dumfries. I saw something on Twitter which said he's now 4th ever since 2022 for goals for Inter. I believe he's on 19 or 20. That is ridiculously impressive for a guy that's like had injuries throughout his time. But then you look at the third goal. The third goal, just breaks down Kivu ball, which is, we can play out of the back. I've got ball progressing centre halves. I've got midfielders that can drop deep, give and go interchange. But sometimes we can just go long. We could just go long. You have to bear in mind, when you go long in football, you practically take out the whole opposition. Like, if the opposition are applying pressure with about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 players, and you go long, you take those 6 players completely out of the game. Go long into Marcus Thuram. Why? Because Thuram can hold up the ball. Feeds it into Martinez. Martinez into Sucic. Sucic then passes the ball into the space to Thuram. Thuram charges forwards. Bastoni with the overlap. Fed into Bastoni. Slide across goal into Lautaro Martinez. Like, it's genuinely one of those goals that you see on FIFA. It's so easy, but Inter can do it. I've seen them do it in this area. I'm seeing them do it in the Champions League. Like, there's more variety to this team because I feel like the handbrake is never ever applied. And that's why I said to you guys, sometimes, like, it's crazy. Like, I don't want to come across like I'm contradicting myself, but sometimes applying the handbrake can help you see out a game. But sometimes applying the handbrake is the reason why the opposition get back into the game, because now you've sat back, you've invited pressure, and I don't know, a shot from 30 yards, a deflection results in the opposition scoring. Like, there's a good and there's a bad to every single thing in football. At the moment, Kivu's like, the handbrake is not going up. We are putting this car into gear 5 and we are just playing our game. If it means we end up drawing 2-2, so be it. So be it. But I promise you, the majority of games they will win. They're what? They've won their last 4 games. They got Cremonese on the weekend. I think they will truly spank Cremonese. I want to really speak on Bastoni. Like, I think Lautaro Martinez had a great game. I think Hakan, like, all of the unrest around his name in the summer, him wanting to go to Galatasaray and all of these things, Hakan's really just gotten into the team and said, safe, new manager, I'm going to go play my game. I'm going to prove all my critics wrong. I'm going to do my talking on the pitch. I don't need to go on social media. I leave that to my wife. Like, I don't need to go on social media and do my talking and this and that. I'm going to do my talking on the pitch, and then you guys can judge. I think he's been great this season. But Bastoni, for me, like, I love Bastoni, man. I think Bastoni's such a good player. Like, if you look at some of his numbers today, he got himself an assist. He created about 2 opportunities, a 92% pass accuracy. He won himself about 6 duels and he made 8 progressive passes. He could have easily gotten himself 1 or 2 goals. He's just involved. Like, under Inzaghi, he had that license, that freedom to step into midfield and this and that. I feel like under Kivu, in this like vertical approach, he's got more license to get into the box. He's got more license to push so forwards. And I feel like when you play vertically, like when you play on the front foot and you've got a very offensive-minded coach who's more than happy to push the whole team into the opposition half, people like Bastoni will get more opportunities in the final third. People like Bastoni will be able to express themselves more in the final third because now they're getting more opportunities, more touches in dangerous areas. And when you've got somebody like him with like the ridiculous crossing ability, with the ridiculous passing ability, the ridiculous technical ability, he'll flourish. He will genuinely flourish. I don't know, man. Like, I think Inter at the moment, they look good. Like, yeah, they've had some setbacks this season. Yeah, they've had some banana skins where they've slipped. But Kivu's like, listen, it doesn't matter what happens. I'm sticking by my principles. I'm winning my games. The only little pet peeve is that I'm thinking, like, there was no need when the game was dead and buried at 3-0. There was no need for you to bring on somebody like a Barella. Like, you could have just kept Barella on the bench. You could have truly just kept Barella on the bench for Cremonese. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, like, Bonny. Why didn't Bonny start? Or, like, why didn't Bonny come off the bench once the game was 2-0 at halftime? Somebody like Diouf. Diouf is genuinely coming across like the employee of the year for panic buy. Fair enough, you didn't get Manu Kone, but it was pretty evident you wanted yourself a physical profile in midfield. So you went and got Diouf, who ticks the same boxes. Okay, if he ticks the same boxes, maybe not the same level of quality, why don't you just play the guy? Play the guy. Like, come on, let's be honest. 3-0 Slavia Prague. If you're not coming on 3-0 Slavia Prague, hermano, you are not coming on for shit. Like, I will tell you that for free. You ain't coming on. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, like, maybe in these opportunities, give somebody like Barella the whole day off. Maybe in these opportunities, let Marcus Thuram come off at halftime and bring on somebody like Bonny. Like, it is a long season. You're going to have to utilize the whole squad throughout the season. And I feel like some players are now paying the price because their match rhythm, isn't on par. Their match fitness isn't on par. Their match sharpness isn't on par. And it's probably because they're not getting opportunities. Kivu definitely needs to work on that. But listen, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Maybe he's just not ready. But it was a pretty dominant performance by Inter. It was very, very, very easy. And that's what you expect. Now make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. And I'll definitely catch you guys after the Cremonese game.